Yeah.
This isn't an objection.
Okay.
I can't quite work out in my mind how getting to know other people and their essence works. I mean, okay, if God's obviously not causing you into me, I mean, you have to feel like causing you into me. Do you know
You're talking about our knowledge of other minds?
Yeah. How do we affect each other?
Okay. Yeah. Descartes, Locke, and Berkeley have roughly similar view of how we know other persons. Okay. Now, go back to Descartes, because there it's the obvious one. What you have in Descartes is a combination of mind and body, right? And so with the other person, you have combination of mind and body. Now, in Descartes, what occurs is that a physical change in the appearance or action of body 2 has a causal influence, produces changed physical states, brain states, sensory stimuli in body 1, which, because of mind-body interaction, produces mental states. Okay. So I have ideas about body 2, which are analogous to my own experience of myself, body 1. So by analogy, I come to think that mind 2 has mental states correlated with bodily states, analogous to the way in which my mental states are correlated with my bodily states. Okay. So it's an argument by analogy. As M1 is to body 1, so M2 is to body 2. Now, I know this by immediate experience. I know this, likewise. I know this, likewise. And so, by analogy, I can infer that. Okay. Now, John Locke's the same. John Locke, as I've said, is not as definite about a mind substance or substance as Descartes was. But in any case, in terms of the empirical, it's the same. Now, when Berkeley comes along, why should it be any different? You see? If I have experience of body 2, thanks to God, okay, if God gives me experience of, quote, body 2, and experience of body 1, then, insofar as there are analogies, I can have some idea of what's going on in mind 2. You see? Now, particularly since some of the bodily activities are sign-making or word-sounding. So that when I hear you say, I'm puzzled by, if I recognize those words as words that I use, then I know, by analogy, what's going on in your mind. Not just language, other bodily behaviors as well. Yeah, that's standard. Wherever you have this representational theory of knowledge, yes, that's the way it's going to be. After all, it is sort of a tough one at first glance. How do I get inside you and understand what's going on inside you? The thing that I have problems with in this particular way of putting it is that we, according to this, would only know what's going on in somebody else's mind if we're able to argue by analogy. You see, it seems to me that most of our recognition of what other people are thinking is not the result of an argument. It's an immediate recognition. It is that the bodily appearance evoke recognition rather than providing a premise for an inference. You see, so I think it's more an analogical recognition rather than analogical inference that's involved. But even that is not enough for some in the more continental tradition coming out of the 19th century that we'll begin to get at as we get into Hegel, you see, who wants to say that I don't even have self-awareness except in some sort of a dialectic with another self, my alter ego, you see. So that the master knows himself as master only in the face of the slave, and the slave knows himself as slave only in the face of the master, you see. And so for all kind of human self-understanding. So that the initial experience, the basis in experience, is in that case not Descartes' I think. It's not the first person singular, which is prior to the experience of I. You see. Now that's the way it develops in the 19th century. Out of that comes Martin Buber's I, thou. You see. I, thou, he says, is the primitive basic word. Not I, not thou, I, thou. We. And what they're doing is breaking with the individualism of the 18th century that made us all atoms, social atoms. Right, again.
Just quickly, I guess more so, where's the control aspect? I mean, I understand how your mind can affect my mind.
Yeah.
But are you just one of those many ideas like trees and all this other stuff, you know, that God's pushing into me, or do I actually affect you?
No, I am a mind. I'm a real mind. My mind is not just an idea. My mind is real. All that exists is minds and ideas. He's not saying all that exists is ideas.
So
minds.
Does God control? See, I'm trying to.
Does God control your mind, my mind?
Yeah, exactly. Does God control what you put into me, or do you decide what you put into me?
No. The answer is yes. That is to say, insofar as I voluntarily am trying to communicate something to you, I am voluntarily doing it. I do it. But insofar as your hearing sounds, you see, is God's doing. God doesn't. You see, that's like that occasionalism we were talking about. My wanting to utter words is the occasion on which God causes you to hear. Not just wanting to, but choosing to, acting to. Yeah. Okay?
When you say mind, are you talking about a physical entity?
No, immaterial entity. Mind, soul, Descartes, are synonymous terms. Mind, soul is an immaterial entity. Now, that's not true necessarily for the medievals or the ancients, because the word soul had a much wider use in the Greeks and the medievals for life. But one of the medievals and ancients was called rational soul, that's capable of independent existence. By Descartes, got labeled simply mind. And that's the way it's used in Locke. That's the way it's used in Berkeley. Yeah. Not the way it's used in contemporary psychology, where it simply refers to consciousness. Not a conscious thing, but consciousness.
A question about sin. If all our ideas are inert and not active,
No, not all of them are.
is there our spirit or our will? Is that what makes the ideas that are active?
Yeah, you see, active ideas are ideas that I initiate. You see, now whether you say the I is mind, spirit, soul, will, okay, that's I. I do it. Yeah.
It was just the words.
Yeah, mind, yeah, this emphasizes the conscious rational being. Spirit, it's an undefined word, really. About all it means in this sort of context is something that isn't material. It has no positive meaning. Actually, for some that we met first semester, you remember, for that matter, for people like Hobbes, all it means is some rarefied, physical, gaseous being. Soul, in the ancients, meant life. Here it's equivalent with rational soul, mind, that immaterial part. Okay? And will, of course, is one of the faculties of the mind. Will, intellect, faculties of the mind.
The will can cause sin.
Well, will is simply acting voluntarily. Yeah. So will is the active agent. Yeah. So that if I will to do something to one of you, I'm really going to get my old back. But Christine here, I'm going to I'm going to give her an F on the first examination. You see, if I do something malicious, and that sort, you see, well, that's an act of will is involved there. It's not just entertaining the idea, but it's willing it.
So they're all different variations of mind. They're just different ways of saying it.
No, not the same. The different emphases. Mind is the classic term in talking of mind-body problem, Descartes' dualism or whatever. Spirit is a word that's introduced much more in the 19th century because it implies something more dynamic, used occasionally here for just an immaterial being. Soul, yeah, used in this period synonymously with mind. The emphasis is on immortality. And will is a functional term. It's a faculty term, not an entity term. You see, these three are entity terms, the immaterial part of you. Okay. Got it? Esther?
Can you go over this justification of why man doesn't exist? I know in reading he talks about how some people might say, well, God is using magical bits together, so that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It seems like that's all he's saying.
Well, there are several lines of thought. Number one, going back to nominalism, the word matter doesn't refer to anything. It has no empirical meaning. How can we say it exists if we don't know what it is? You see, why does he say it doesn't refer to anything? Well, matter is an abstraction. There's redness, there's squareness, there's smoothness, there's roundness, there's noisiness. But what's matter? What's it look like? Well, Locke would say that we abstract the idea of matter in general from all of these other physical things, physical experiences. What do you abstract? You know, if it's not red and it's not blue, if it's not square and it's not round, if it's not noisy and it's not quiet, it's not anything.
But couldn't you say that he's not defining it?
Well, sure, he's not claiming infinite knowledge, but I think that if you affirm matter, he would say you're claiming something you don't know. You're trespassing on unknown ground much more than the person who denies it. Come again? Oh, he thinks that it's possible to demonstrate the existence of God. But you can't demonstrate the existence of matter. Remember the setup. You see, from Descartes on, this is the setup. The mind, which we know directly, has ideas purportedly of matter, the material world, other minds, and God. And according to Descartes, we have to prove all of those three exist. Well, you see, Descartes thought we could prove all three. All that Berkeley is saying is, no, we can't prove them. Still prove the rest. Got it? Now, you wanted what's his argument? One, about abstract ideas. Second, about primary and secondary qualities.
Biggest things I have trouble with is judging from the uniformity of nature, I was see if you got it if you wanted to support, you know. I was wondering, like, what about like the possibility of malevolent deity and stuff like that? Or, like,
Which possibility?
Like a malevolent deity as opposed to Yahweh.
How would he respond to that? I think, I'm trying to answer this in the context of his time. I think he would say that the orderedness of nature, its abundant provision for human need, etc., is plenty evidence that the Creator is wise, powerful, good. You see? Yeah, that's the standard line of argument there. What does the causal argument for the existence of God suggest about God? Now, keep in mind that the concept of God as good also has a history that goes back through the Middle Ages to Plato. God is the good. What is the good? Well, the good in that sense is the ideal that all nature yearns for. You see? Yeah. And so I suppose you'd say that Berkeley might well be saying God is good because that, by definition, is what the term God entails. The whole concept of God is of the good. To speak of a malevolent God is not to speak of God. You see, it's to speak of a non-God.
The reason I ask that is some of this kind of reminds me, and I don't know much about this until I got there yet, I guess, but in intro class we talked about the brains in a bath thing, and how
Yeah.
that's kind of what it sounds like almost.
Yeah, except it's not brains in a vat, it's minds in a vacuum. Yeah. Yeah, you just have difficulty getting out of the customary way of thinking. Okay.
I have a question about the concept of matter itself. That when you can say, my concept is that
Yeah.
it's made up of tiny particles, with electrons and protons and nucleus. So when I think of matter, I'm denying there's anything
Good.
that makes that a solid thing.
Yeah.
Do we have a concept now that matter is something that's physically real, like little particles? Like when Elizabeth Dollar in a glass of water, grains of sand, well, I think of something, little grains of sand. They're so small, but when
Yeah.
they're taken together, you get something.
Yeah, sometimes the history of scientific thought through the 19th century into the 20th is captioned like this: the dematerialization of matter. The dematerialization of matter. And you can see the change that's gone on, because back in the 18th century, matter was composed of atoms. Atoms are little pellets of matter, of indivisible stuff. You see. Well, that changed as we began to talk about the structure of the atom. as we began to see that E equals mc squared, that matter is not an ultimate in that sense. The principle of the conservation of matter, that it cannot be created and cannot be destroyed, of Newtonian physics, gave way to the principle of the conservation of energy. You see. So I think it's fair to say that contemporary physics does not have the concept of matter that they had in the 18th century. You see. Now, having said that, a lot may hinge on how you handle theory of submolecular particles. You see. Are they solid indivisible pellets, or are they spurts of energy that have pellet-like behaviors? You see. So no, I think this, and this is another side of the thing that Berkeley's doing that I think is much more far-reaching than anything he said. I think the question is whether the Newtonian conception of matter has any empirical basis, any scientific basis. Now, we've been concentrating on what he says about matter, but in his reply to objections that you've been reading, you may notice he speaks not only about matter, but about force, and space, and time. Now, if all four of these key Newtonian concepts are without empirical basis, what happens to Newton's claim to be doing empirical science? You see. Is there any empirical basis for Newtonian science? Berkeley says no. David Hume says no. Immanuel Kant says no. You see. Which means when post-Newtonian science began to develop, the ground was ready for it. Now, there's another, I was going to say quirk, but that's too near a quirk to use at this juncture. There's another little tidbit that comes into this, which is the question of whether matter itself is conceived of as being passive, inert, or having some power, some potentiality that's in process, whether it's active or passive. You see. And it seems pretty plain that in Berkeley the emphasis is on passive. Yeah. Very passive. And some of the continental thinkers became more active. And of course in Leibniz, the activity is there such that matter is not the basic forces. But that conception of matter as passive, devoid of any potency that has capacity to do something, is alien to earlier conceptions of matter in the Platonic Aristotelian tradition. You see. Oh, you find it in Democritus, the Greek atomist. And Sarah Miles in History of Science was saying yesterday afternoon that by the time you get to Lucretius, who's the Roman equivalent of Democritus, in Lucretius matter is active. Okay. But for Plato and Aristotle and the medievals in that tradition, matter is potency. Now drop the y off the end and matter is potent. It has natural potentialities. There is an inherent teleology in matter itself, an inherent telos. So the loss of the teleological view of nature that came with the scientific revolution introducing mechanistic science is it changed the conception of matter. There's something bare, passive, substrate. And Berkeley's seeing the problems in that. Okay. Anything more about problems? Resurrection of the dead? Well, he addresses that. Yeah. Easy enough. You know, if you saw someone resurrected from the dead, what would you see? Well, Berkeley says, yes, that's what God provides. What's the difference? If you were resurrected from the dead, what would you experience? Well, that's what God provides. What's the difference? You see, so matter changes nothing empirically. In other words, what Berkeley is trying to do is to maintain a position that confines itself to what is supportable by empirical evidence. Remember Locke's evidentialism? And that we should proportion our beliefs to the evidence. And Berkeley's taking his advice. Proportioning belief to the evidence. Yeah. Well, okay, I hope you read carefully that reply to objections that he has from 255 onwards. You've got about 20 pages of it. And if you want the reply to theological objections that he faces, go look up the full edition of his Principles of Natural Knowledge. They're all there. Any theological problem you have, Berkeley, at least you have with his view, Berkeley responds. Okay. Now, a few minutes, let me make some introductory comments about David Hume so that you can get off to a running start in that regard. Now, of course, the three great British empiricists, Locke, Berkeley, and Hume. And it might help to try and identify quickly what distinguishes them. Locke seems to be a metaphysical dualist. That is to say, mind and